The spaceship landed with a soft hum on the surface of Zorothea. The air shimmered with colors that Rylan had never seen before. Trees with silver leaves reached toward the sky, and rivers glowed faintly with blue light. He stepped out of his small craft, his boots crunching on the smooth stones. His armor was scratched from the journey, but his spirit was strong. Rylan had come a long way from Earth. He was a warrior trained in battles and strategy, but he had never imagined arriving on a planet as strange and beautiful as this. He looked around, feeling both awe and nervousness. Zorothea was not just any alien world, it was ruled by Princess Serena, a leader famous for her intelligence, beauty, and pride. Humans rarely came here, and he knew he would face challenges beyond fighting. The palace of Zorothea stood on a high cliff overlooking the glowing city. Its towers curved like waves, and its walls sparkled under the sunlight. Guards dressed in bright armor watched carefully as Rylan approached. They whispered to each other in a language he did not understand, but their eyes were full of curiosity and caution. Princess Serena watched from her balcony. She was tall and elegant, wearing a dress that shimmered like the rivers below. Her hair was dark and straight, framing her face in sharp contrast to her pale skin. She had heard of the human warrior who had come to Zorothea, and she was ready to see him with her own eyes. When Rylan stepped into the main courtyard, the guards bowed slightly, and the crowd of nobles gathered to watch. Serena's lips curved into a small, amused smile. She spoke, and her voice echoed clearly. "Welcome, human warrior. Tell me, do your people always arrive with so little grace?" Rylan's eyes met hers, and he straightened his shoulders. He had faced countless enemies, and now he faced a princess whose words could cut deeper than any sword. "I come with respect and honesty," he said. "My goal is to prove myself worthy of Zorothea's trust." The court laughed softly at his words. Serena tilted her head, her smile growing slightly sharper. "Trust? You expect trust when you walk into a palace without knowing our ways?" she asked. "I wonder if you are ready for what this world demands." Rylan did not flinch. He had learned long ago that courage was more important than pride. He looked around at the nobles, at the curious guards, and then back at the princess. "I may not know your ways," he said, "but I know the strength of determination. That is something every warrior carries, no matter the planet." Serena's eyebrows rose slightly. Her amusement mixed with curiosity. Humans were different from Zorotheans, she thought. Their bodies were not as tall, not as elegant, yet there was a fire in their eyes that she could not ignore. She decided to test him. "Very well," she said. "If you are as capable as you claim, you will face a challenge. The first trial begins in the palace gardens. You must find a hidden gem within the maze, guided only by your instincts. The gem is not magical. It tests your patience and intelligence. Many fail." Rylan nodded. "I accept," he said. He followed a guard who led him to the gardens. The air smelled sweet, like flowers he could not name. The maze of silver-leaved trees twisted and turned, and Rylan could feel the challenge in every shadow. He paused for a moment, remembering his training. In every battle, the mind was as important as the body. Serena observed from above, her eyes sharp. She expected him to struggle, perhaps even fail. Yet there was a small spark of interest in her expression. This human warrior moved carefully, noticing details others might miss. He avoided traps set by the maze and listened to subtle sounds that guided him. After what seemed like hours, Rylan finally found a hidden gem. It was small, glowing softly in the shade of a tree. He picked it up carefully and held it high, signaling his success. A murmur ran through the nobles. The princess lowered her gaze for a moment, then raised it again. "You have passed the first test," Serena said. Her voice carried a hint of surprise. "Perhaps there is more to humans than I imagined." Rylan bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Princess. I will continue to prove myself worthy." Serena looked at him closely. She felt something she had not expected, an unusual respect for a being so different from herself. The spark was faint but undeniable. She would not admit it yet. Not in front of the court. But inside, she wondered what this human warrior could teach her about courage, strength, and the fire that lay within. Rylan walked away from the garden, carrying the gem, his mind already thinking about the next challenge. He knew that surviving Zorothea would be difficult, but he felt ready. He had faced monsters, enemies, and impossible odds before. Now, he would face the prideful princess, and perhaps discover something even more extraordinary along the way. The first day on Zorothea had ended, but both the warrior and the princess knew that their story had only just begun. The next morning, the sun rose over Zorothea, painting the sky with soft pink and gold colors. Princess Serena stood on her balcony, looking down at the courtyard. Rylan had passed the first test, and her curiosity about him had grown. She decided it was time for the real challenge, one that would test not only his strength but his mind. Rylan entered the grand hall, where Serena waited with a confident smile. She wore a flowing gown that shimmered under the sunlight, her presence commanding and calm. Around her, the court gathered, eager to see what the princess would do next. "Human warrior," Serena said, her voice clear and strong. "You have proven some courage in the garden maze, but courage alone is not enough. Zorothea values wisdom, patience, and adaptability. Today, you will face 3 trials." Rylan bowed. "I am ready, Princess," he replied, his tone steady. He had faced challenges before, but the thought of impressing this proud princess added a new motivation. The first trial was the trial of agility. A platform floated above a shallow pool of crystal clear water. Several stepping stones moved unpredictably, and Rylan had to cross without falling. He studied the stones carefully, noticing their rhythm and timing. With careful steps and focus, he moved across, feeling the rush of excitement. The court gasped as he reached the other side without a single misstep. Serena raised her eyebrows slightly, impressed despite herself. The second trial was the trial of knowledge. Serena led Rylan to a room filled with intricate holographic puzzles. Each puzzle showed an alien landscape, and he had to connect paths to create a safe passage for virtual creatures. Rylan frowned, studying the puzzles. They were unlike anything he had seen before. Slowly, he experimented, learning the logic behind each puzzle. His persistence paid off, and the final puzzle clicked into place. The creatures moved safely through the landscapes, and the court clapped softly. Serena stepped forward, her smile no longer mocking but thoughtful. "You are clever, human. Few can understand the puzzles of Zorothea so quickly. Perhaps there is more to you than I imagined." Rylan's eyes met hers, but he remained silent, letting his actions speak. He had learned long ago that humility could be more powerful than words. The final trial was the trial of strategy. Serena explained that a simulated invasion would threaten the palace. Rylan had to direct the defenses, using both Zorothian and human tactics. The holographic battle began, and Rylan quickly analyzed the situation. He placed guards strategically, predicted the enemy movements, and adapted when unexpected attacks occurred. The simulation ended with a clear victory, and even the nobles who had doubted him murmured their approval. Serena watched closely, noticing something she had not expected. The human warrior did not fight for glory or recognition. He fought to protect, to understand, and to succeed without arrogance. It was a rare quality, one that she had only seen in the greatest Zorathian leaders. After the trials, Serena stepped into the courtyard. She approached Rylan, her gaze steady. "You have passed all 3 trials," she said. "Your courage, intelligence, and strategy are impressive. You have earned my respect." Rylan bowed again. "Thank you, Princess. I only wish to serve Zorathia and prove my worth." Serena smiled faintly, though inside, she felt something she could not yet name. There was a spark of admiration, an unusual feeling she had not experienced before. She would not admit it yet, not to herself and certainly not to the court. Humans were outsiders, and she had been taught to keep a distance. Yet, Rylan's bravery and determination had begun to change her thoughts. The court buzzed with whispers. Many nobles had expected the human warrior to fail, but he had succeeded in ways that surprised them all. Some looked at him with curiosity, others with caution, and a few with admiration. Rylan remained calm, focusing on Serena's approval rather than the opinions of the court. Later, as the sun began to set, Serena and Rylan walked through the palace gardens. The silver leaves glowed softly in the fading light, and the air smelled of exotic flowers. Serena spoke quietly. "You are not like other humans I have heard of," she said. "You adapt, you learn, and you do not give up. That is rare." Rylan looked at her, sensing a shift in her attitude. "I have faced many challenges on my world," he said. "I have learned that courage alone is not enough. Understanding and respect for others are just as important." Serena nodded. She felt a connection forming, a silent understanding that went beyond words. The spark between them was small but undeniable. She could see it in his eyes, and perhaps he could see it in hers, though neither would name it yet. As night fell, the palace glowed under the stars. Rylan prepared for the next trials that awaited him on Zorathia, and Serena watched him with quiet curiosity. Both knew that the days ahead would test them in ways neither could imagine. The challenges of strength and wit were only the beginning. And deep inside, the princess wondered how this human warrior could change not only the fate of Zorathia but also her own heart. The morning sun rose over Zorathia, casting golden light on the palace towers. Rylan prepared for a new task, one more dangerous than the trials he had faced so far. The council had informed him of a mission to retrieve a rare energy crystal from the volcanic mountains far beyond the city. The crystal was vital for Zorathia's energy supply, and the journey would test both courage and skill. Princess Serena watched him from her balcony. She had made a decision. The mission was dangerous, and she could not allow him to face it alone. Disguised as a simple traveler, she would accompany him. She adjusted a hood to hide her identity and descended the palace steps quietly, joining Rylan before the guards noticed. Rylan looked at the figure beside him, assuming she was one of the guides assigned to assist. "Are you ready for a long journey?" he asked. "Yes," she replied calmly, her voice steady but soft. There was a quiet determination in her eyes that matched his own. They left the city behind, moving into the wild landscapes of Zorathia. The air grew warmer as they approached the volcanic mountains. Rivers of molten rock glowed in the distance, and smoke rose from fissures in the ground. Strange creatures roamed the plains, their scales reflecting the sunlight in shifting colors. Rylan remained alert, scanning for threats, while Serena moved gracefully beside him, her sharp eyes noticing details others might miss. The journey was not easy. Jagged rocks blocked their path, and sudden gusts of wind threatened to throw them off balance. Rylan used his strength to help Serena climb over dangerous slopes, and she offered guidance on the safest routes. The partnership between them grew stronger with each challenge. One afternoon, as they rested near a glowing river, Rylan noticed Serena looking at the distant mountains with a thoughtful expression. "You have traveled far from the palace," he said. "Do you often venture into danger?" She shook her head slightly. "Rarely. I am expected to remain here, safe and untouched. Yet, I could not ignore the importance of this mission. The crystal is essential, and I needed to see it for myself." Her voice carried pride, but also a hint of loneliness. Rylan nodded, understanding more than she expected. "I have faced dangers my whole life," he said. "But I have learned that courage is not only in battle. It is in helping others, in facing what seems impossible, and in protecting those who cannot protect themselves." Serena looked at him closely. His words were different from those she had heard in the palace. There was honesty and humility, not arrogance. She felt a quiet respect for him growing, though she refused to admit it aloud. As night fell, they set up a small camp near a rocky outcrop. The stars of Zorothea shone brighter than any he had seen before, and the air was filled with soft sounds of alien creatures. They shared a simple meal, and the conversation turned to their worlds. Rylan spoke of Earth, of humans, and their struggles. Serena shared stories of Zorothea, of the responsibility she carried as princess and the expectations placed upon her. The distance between them seemed to shrink. Both felt a connection forming, though neither spoke of it directly. There was a spark, quiet and careful, that neither dared to name. The next day, they entered the volcanic mountains. Lava flowed in slow rivers, and the heat was intense. Strange creatures with glowing eyes watched them from the rocks. Rylan led the way, using his strength and experience to navigate safely. Serena followed, offering guidance and helping him spot hidden dangers. Finally, after a long climb, they reached a hidden cavern where the energy crystal was said to lie. The entrance was narrow, surrounded by sharp rocks and dangerous magma flows. Rylan examined the path carefully, his instincts guiding him. Serena watched him, impressed by his skill and determination. Inside the cavern, the air shimmered with heat. The crystal rested on a pedestal of black stone, glowing softly with energy. As they approached, a sudden tremor shook the cavern. Rocks fell from above, and a small river of molten lava surged nearby. Rylan acted quickly, pulling Serena to safety and finding a stable path to the crystal. Together, they secured the crystal. Rylan held it carefully, feeling its energy pulse through his hands. Serena looked at him with admiration, her earlier amusement replaced by respect and something more subtle. She realized that the human warrior beside her was not only brave but also capable of thinking clearly under pressure. The journey back would be equally dangerous, but both knew they could rely on each other. Their partnership had grown into trust, a bond that neither expected. The forbidden spark that had begun to flicker between them was stronger now, though it remained unspoken. As they descended the mountains, the glow of the crystal lighting their path, Rylan glanced at Serena. "We make a good team," he said. Serena smiled faintly. "Yes," she replied. Inside, she knew this journey had changed more than their mission. It had changed her perspective, and perhaps even her heart. The volcanoes faded behind them, and the city of Zorothea came into view. Both knew that the palace awaited, with its challenges and judgments, but they also knew that their journey together had only just begun. After the long journey to the volcanic mountains, Rylan and Serena returned to the palace with the energy crystal. The city of Zorothea glittered in the evening light, and the streets were filled with people celebrating the success of their mission. Guards and nobles bowed as they passed, but both Rylan and Serena remained focused on one another. Once the crystal was delivered safely, Serena asked Rylan to join her in the palace gardens. The gardens were quiet at night, lit by soft lanterns that reflected off silver leaves. The air smelled of sweet flowers, and the sound of small streams created a calm rhythm. It was a place for reflection, far from the eyes of the court. Serena walked slowly along the path, her eyes on the glowing plants. "You performed very well," she said quietly. "Not many humans could have done what you did in the volcanic mountains. You are clever, brave, and careful." Rylan nodded. "I only did what I had to do," he replied. "The crystal was important. Zorothea needed it, and I wanted to help. That is what a warrior must do." Serena stopped and faced him. "You are different from anyone I have known. Most humans I have heard about are proud or selfish. You are neither. You fight for others, not for yourself. That is rare." Her voice carried admiration, but also a trace of sadness. Rylan noticed the change in her tone. "Why do you sound sad, princess?" he asked. "You are respected, powerful, and wise. Surely you do not need anything from anyone." Serena's eyes darkened slightly, reflecting the moonlight. "I am Princess Serena, and I carry the weight of this kingdom on my shoulders. I must be strong, careful, and always in control. There are many rules, and many expectations. I cannot show weakness, even to those closest to me. Sometimes, it feels very lonely." Rylan listened quietly, understanding her in a way few others could. "I have been lonely too," he said. "I left my home and everything I knew to face dangers far from my world. I fight not only for survival but also for trust, for honor, and for hope. Loneliness is part of the journey, but it can make us stronger." Serena looked at him closely. His eyes reflected honesty and courage, and she felt an unusual connection. She had met leaders and warriors before, but Rylan's combination of strength and humility was unique. For the first time, she felt she could trust someone completely. "I have never shared this with anyone," she said softly. "Even my closest advisors do not know the weight I carry. They see only the title, the crown, and the power. They do not see the person beneath." Rylan stepped closer, careful not to overstep boundaries. "You do not have to hide from me," he said. "I will not judge you, and I will not betray your trust. We have faced dangers together, and I have learned to rely on you. Perhaps we can understand each other better because we are both far from what is familiar." Serena felt a warmth in her chest. This human warrior, whom she had first mocked, had become someone she could speak to without fear. A spark, quiet but undeniable, had begun to glow between them. She would not name it, and she would not allow herself to act on it. Yet, it was there, growing steadily. They walked further into the garden, the soft glow of lanterns creating a magical atmosphere. Serena told Rylan more about the responsibilities of a princess, the traditions she could not ignore, and the sacrifices she had made for the kingdom. Rylan shared his own struggles on Earth, the battles he had fought, and the people he had protected. The conversation deepened their understanding of one another. They laughed at small memories, and they grew silent as they shared moments of reflection. The distance between them had narrowed, though the rules of the court and the realities of their world still held them apart. "You are brave and honest," Serena said finally. "I did not expect to find such qualities in a human. I thought you would be arrogant or reckless, but you are neither. I see now that courage and compassion can exist together, even in those from another world." Rylan smiled faintly. "I have learned that strength is not only in the body or the sword. True strength is in helping others, understanding different perspectives, and facing fears without giving up. Perhaps that is why we make a good team." Serena looked at him, her eyes reflecting the soft lantern light. The forbidden spark between them was no longer just a flicker. It was a quiet fire that warmed her heart. She had to keep it secret for now, but she could not deny its existence. The night deepened, and the sounds of the city faded. Both knew they would soon return to their duties in the palace, facing the expectations and judgments of the court. Yet, something had changed. A bond of trust, respect, and a quiet connection had formed, stronger than either had expected. As they parted for the evening, Serena whispered, "Thank you for listening, Rylan. I have never shared these thoughts with anyone before." Rylan nodded. "You are not alone anymore, Princess. We face challenges together, and perhaps that is how we grow stronger." The garden remained quiet after he left, but Serena stayed for a while, thinking about the human warrior who had entered her world and her life. The spark between them was forbidden, yet it was there, undeniable and quietly growing. She did not know what the future would hold, but she knew that Zorothea and her heart had already changed because of him. The palace of Zorothea was alive with excitement the morning after Rylan and Serena returned from the volcanic mountains. The energy crystal they had retrieved was displayed in the main hall, and the council praised their courage. Yet, not all within the palace were pleased. Some nobles whispered behind closed doors, jealous of the attention Rylan had received from Princess Serena. One noble, Lord Varon, had long coveted influence over the princess. He watched Rylan with cold eyes, plotting in silence. "A human," he muttered. "How dare he walk through our halls and gain the princess's respect? He is an outsider. He should not have this power." Lord Varon decided to act. He spread rumors across the court, claiming that Princess Serena was showing favoritism to Rylan. He suggested that she was compromising the honor of the royal family by trusting a human. The whispers grew louder, reaching the ears of many nobles. Some believed them without question, while others watched cautiously, waiting to see what would happen. Meanwhile, Rylan continued his training and preparations. He wanted to learn more about Zorothea's warriors and their methods. Serena watched him closely, proud of his dedication and skill. She knew that the court's jealousy would soon become a problem, but she trusted Rylan to handle it with his wisdom. The situation escalated when a formal meeting was called in the council chamber. Princess Serena stood at the center, her posture regal and commanding. Rylan entered beside her, calm and ready to face whatever accusations might arise. The nobles looked tense, their eyes flicking between the princess and the human warrior. Lord Varon stepped forward. "Princess Serena," he began, his voice smooth but sharp. "It has come to my attention that you have placed trust in a human warrior. Many in this court believe this could harm the honor of Zorothea. Should we allow outsiders to influence the decisions of our kingdom?" The room fell silent. Rylan looked at the noble, measuring his words carefully. He knew that anger or aggression would not help. "I am not here to harm Zorothea," he said calmly. "I came to help, to serve, and to protect this kingdom. My loyalty is to the people, not to myself." Serena's eyes narrowed slightly, but she kept her voice steady. Rylan has risked his life for Zorothea, she said. He has proven his courage, intelligence, and loyalty. His actions have strengthened this kingdom, not weakened it. Do not judge him by his origin, but by his deeds. Lord Varen sneered. Deeds can be misleading, princess. Trust must be earned, and humans are not our equals. Rylan stepped forward, his voice firm. Trust is not about origin. It is about actions. I have faced dangers and challenges alongside Princess Serena, and I have done everything to ensure the safety of Zorothea. That is what earns trust. The council murmured. Some nobles began to see the truth in his words, while others remained skeptical. Serena realized that the time for subtlety was over. She spoke clearly, her authority undeniable. This court will not act on lies or jealousy. Anyone who spreads false accusations will face consequences. I judge Rylan by what he has done, not by what you say. Lord Varen's face turned red with anger. He realized that he could not sway the princess, nor could he manipulate the court without evidence. His plan had failed, but he vowed silently to continue plotting. After the meeting, Rylan and Serena returned to the gardens. The tension of the day faded slightly in the quiet evening air. Serena looked at Rylan with gratitude. You handled that well, she said softly. Many would have reacted with anger, but you spoke with wisdom and courage. You have earned even more respect from this court. Rylan smiled faintly. I only did what was right, he replied. I could not allow false accusations to harm Zorothea or you. Serena felt a spark of warmth in her chest. His courage, loyalty, and honesty were unlike anything she had expected. She realized that the bond between them had grown stronger, not just from shared danger, but from trust and understanding. The palace remained calm that night, but Serena knew that challenges would continue. Jealous nobles and ambitious leaders would always test both her authority and Rylan's place in the kingdom. Yet she also knew that together, they could face anything. As they walked through the quiet gardens, the stars reflected in the silver leaves, Serena spoke quietly. You are not like anyone I have known, Rylan. I did not expect to feel this trust, this connection. Perhaps there is more to our meeting than mere chance. Rylan looked at her, understanding the weight of her words. Our meeting was not by chance, he said. We have faced dangers together, and we have learned from one another. That bond is stronger than rumors or lies. Serena nodded. The forbidden spark between them was no longer just a quiet flicker. It had grown, subtle yet powerful, reminding her that courage and honesty could bridge even the greatest divides. For now, they would focus on the challenges ahead, but both knew that this trust, and perhaps something more, had begun to shape the future of Zorothea. The palace walls were strong, but the bonds they had formed were stronger. And as the moon rose high over the city, both Rylan and Serena understood that their journey together was far from over. The skies above Zorothea darkened one morning, a deep crimson spreading across the horizon. Scouts had reported an approaching enemy fleet, unlike any the planet had seen before. Ships larger than Zorothea's own hovered above the cities, their weapons glowing with destructive energy. Panic stirred among the citizens, but Princess Serena and Rylan remained calm. This is the moment we must defend our home, Serena said, her voice steady. She stood on the balcony of the palace, overlooking the city. Rylan, I need your guidance. Your strategies and human tactics may be the key to protecting Zorothea. Rylan nodded, his eyes scanning the enemy positions. We must act quickly and efficiently. Every warrior must know their role. The people of Zorothea are brave, but this enemy is unlike anything they have faced. We must combine our strengths. Serena gathered the Zorothian warriors and shared Ryland's plan. The humans' unconventional tactics, combined with Zorothian discipline, created a new strategy. Ryland divided the forces, positioning archers and energy cannons along the cliffs, while Serena coordinated the palace guards to defend critical structures. The battle began as the enemy ships descended, firing beams that scorched the ground. Zorothian warriors advanced with agility and skill, while Ryland moved among them, giving instructions and boosting morale. Serena fought alongside her soldiers, her sword flashing as she intercepted enemies who breached the palace gates. Despite the enemy's strength, Ryland's leadership turned the tide. He had studied Zorothia's terrain and the abilities of its people, using clever traps and coordinated strikes to outmaneuver the invaders. Zorothians marveled at the human warriors' intelligence and adaptability. During a critical moment, a large enemy vessel aimed directly at the palace. Ryland shouted instructions to the archers, guiding their shots with precision. The Zorothian forces followed his plan, and the vessel exploded before reaching the gates. The crowd of citizens who had watched from the city streets cheered, their hope renewed. Serena noticed Ryland moving toward the palace's inner courtyard, where enemy forces had landed. She followed quickly, her presence inspiring the soldiers around her. Together, they fought side by side, their movements synchronized. Ryland blocked attacks with his shield, while Serena struck with her sword, each protecting the other without a word. The enemy seemed endless, but Ryland's strategies and Serena's leadership gave the Zorothians strength. He directed the soldiers to use the city's natural defenses, guiding them through narrow paths and hidden tunnels. Serena's presence encouraged bravery, reminding the people that even a princess could face danger directly. Hours passed, and the battle raged on. Ryland spotted a weak point in the enemy's formation and quickly moved to exploit it. He led a small group through the cliffs, striking at the enemy's supply lines. The attack disrupted their coordination, and the invading forces began to falter. Serena fought alongside him, her sword cutting through the remaining enemies with skill and precision. The citizens and soldiers watched in awe as the human warrior and the princess turned the tide of the battle. The sparks of admiration between them grew stronger, though both remained focused on victory. Finally, the last of the enemy ships retreated, disappearing beyond the horizon. The city of Zorothea was safe, and the people cheered in celebration. The warriors returned to the palace, tired but proud, their eyes filled with respect for Ryland and Serena. The princess looked at Ryland, her face glowing with relief and admiration. "You have saved Zorothea," she said. "Your courage and strategy have shown that humans are capable of great strength. I am proud to have fought beside you." Ryland smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. "It was a team effort. Your leadership inspired everyone to fight, Princess. Zorothia's people are strong, and they proved it today." For the first time, Serena allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The bond between her and Ryland had grown beyond respect and trust. The spark that had begun on their first journey was now undeniable. She realized that courage, wisdom, and loyalty could create connections that transcended worlds. As the city celebrated, Serena and Ryland walked through the streets together. Citizens lined the paths, cheering and waving flags. Children ran alongside them, inspired by their bravery. Even the nobles who had doubted Ryland now looked at him with admiration. In a quiet corner of the city, Serena turned to Ryland. "You have changed many things today," she said softly. "Not only have you helped protect Zorothea, but you have also shown me that courage and heart are more important than rank or origin. Rylan looked at her, feeling the weight of her words. And you have shown me that leadership is more than power. It is responsibility, care, and the ability to inspire others. Together, we make a strong team. The sun set over Zorothea, painting the sky with brilliant colors. The battle was over, but the kingdom's future had been shaped by the courage of one human warrior and the wisdom of its princess. Their bond, strengthened through danger and trust, hinted at a new era for Zorothea, a time when unity, bravery, and understanding could bring hope to all. And as the stars appeared above the city, both Rylan and Serena knew that their story was far from finished. The city of Zorothea glowed softly in the morning light. The battle was over, and the people celebrated their survival. Flags waved from the towers, and citizens filled the streets, singing songs of hope and courage. The energy crystal was safely returned to the palace, and the city's power systems hummed steadily, a reminder of the victory that Rylan and Princess Serena had achieved together. The princess stood on her balcony, looking out at the city she had protected. The events of the past days weighed heavily on her mind. She had faced fear, danger, and betrayal, yet she had also seen courage, loyalty, and wisdom in ways she had never expected. Rylan, the human warrior, had become a symbol of hope for Zorothea. His courage had inspired not only the soldiers but also the citizens. Rylan approached her quietly. "The city looks peaceful now," he said. "Your people are safe, princess." Serena turned and smiled faintly. "Yes, thanks to your guidance and bravery. You have earned the respect of Zorothea, more than any human has before." Rylan bowed slightly. "I only did what was right. You led your people with wisdom, and I only helped where I could. Together, we succeeded." The princess looked at him closely. The spark that had been growing between them over weeks of trials, journeys, and battles was now undeniable. It was no longer just admiration or trust, it was a connection deeper than either had expected. Yet she remained cautious. Zorothea had rules, traditions, and expectations that could not be ignored. Later that day, a grand ceremony was held in the palace courtyard. Nobles, citizens, and warriors gathered to honor those who had fought bravely. Serena stood at the center, her presence commanding respect and admiration. When she spoke, her voice carried across the crowd. "Today, Zorothea has survived because of courage, unity, and wisdom. We have faced dangers that threatened our home, and we have triumphed. Among us is one whose actions have proven that courage and loyalty know no boundaries. Rylan, the human warrior, has fought for Zorothea as one of our own. We honor his deeds, his bravery, and his heart." The crowd erupted in cheers. Rylan stepped forward, bowing deeply in respect to the princess and the kingdom. Even the nobles who had doubted him before now looked on with admiration. Some whispered quietly, acknowledging that humans could indeed earn the trust and respect of Zorothea. After the ceremony, the palace gardens were quiet once more. Serena and Rylan walked among the glowing plants, the soft light reflecting in their eyes. "You have changed many things here," Serena said softly. "Not just the battle, but the way my people see humans. You have shown that courage and loyalty are stronger than tradition or doubt." Rylan nodded. "I am honored to have been part of this. And I am grateful to have fought beside you, princess. Your leadership inspired me to do my best." Serena paused, looking at him with an expression that mixed pride, admiration, and something more tender. "Rylan, there is a spark between us that I cannot ignore. It is forbidden, according to our traditions, but it exists. I feel it, and I see it in you as well. Rylan's eyes met hers. He had felt the same spark for weeks but had waited for her to acknowledge it first. I feel it too, Princess. It does not change my respect for you, nor does it weaken my commitment to Zorothea. But it is real, and I cannot deny it. For a moment, they stood quietly, letting the truth of their feelings fill the space between them. It was a connection born from danger, trust, and understanding, a bond that neither tradition nor fear could erase. Serena smiled, a soft, genuine smile that Rylan had rarely seen. Perhaps the future will allow us to explore this connection, in a way that does not harm our responsibilities or our people. But for now, I am grateful that we have each other's trust, and that Zorothea stands strong. Rylan reached out, offering his hand. Then we face the future together, Princess. Whatever challenges may come, we will face them side by side. The city below them shimmered in the morning light, alive with hope and life. Children ran through the streets, inspired by the courage they had witnessed. Citizens worked together to repair the damage from the battle, their spirits lifted by the example of their leaders. Rylan and Serena knew that this was only the beginning of a new era for Zorothea. As the sun rose higher, casting gold and pink across the palace towers, the human warrior and the princess stood together, united not only by duty but by a bond that defied expectations. They had faced trials, danger, betrayal, and war, yet they had emerged stronger, wiser, and closer than ever. The kingdom of Zorothea had survived, but more importantly, hearts had been changed. Trust had been forged across worlds, courage had been celebrated, and a forbidden spark had become a quiet promise. And as the day began anew, both Rylan and Princess Serena knew that a new dawn had arrived, not just for the kingdom, but for themselves. Together, they would face whatever challenges the universe held, their hearts and courage guiding the way.